Our friend Julie Kelly joins us. She is the author of the Declassified Substack and had quite a firestorm, started a firestorm online yesterday with her latest findings with regard to the Mar-a-Lago document raid. Julie, I know it's probably been a very busy 24 hours or so for you after deciding to just light the internet on fire with some of your findings. Tell me, first off, we mentioned at the top of the show, how were you able to get this information about the use of deadly force authorization in the warrant for the Trump raid, and give us any backstory you have on it, any context for it, because people see that and their reaction is not stuff I can say on radio, but they're very upset.
They are. So, as you guys know, and I'm outside the Florida courthouse right now, I attended a hearing this morning. There's another one this afternoon in the classified documents case. But I knew that Judge Aileen Cannon had unsealed these two Trump motions, and I was just watching the docket really all day for them, and they were posted. And one of them is this motion to suppress evidence from the Mar-a-Lago raid, claiming that the raid was unlawful. The affidavit, the search warrant, all were unlawful, et cetera. So I just started reading through the motion and came across the passage in the motion that his defense lawyers wrote that said that a use of deadly force policy was part of the instructions related to the Mar-a-Lago raid. So I had to read that a few times. Anyway, it was attached. There was an exhibit attached to it, which is what I started posting. And that is this 20-some-odd page, what they call an operation order. So it's kind of a standard form, apparently, that, you just fill out any random time you're going to send 30 armed agents into the residence and offices and bedrooms of the former president. And so I noted the policy, use of deadly force policy, so I posted that. And then, of course, some other interesting caveats that were in that document, talking about how agents should conduct themselves if Donald Trump showed up at Mar-a-Lago. Of course, he wasn't there at the time. How to deal with Secret Service agents if there was any resistance, as they noted that in the document. Also, a medic was embedded in the team, and instructions on how to get to a trauma center if anyone was injured during this raid, because, of course, these agents were armed with what they said, weapons, ammo, handcuffs. They had bolt cutters. They were also advised if they needed to pick locks to get into different areas of the entire resort, the entire estate. And if Mar-a-Lago staff did not turn over keys to rooms, guest rooms at Mar-a-Lago, that they would be going door to door, like the Gestapo, I don't know for what. So that's how I knew these motions were coming. I've been waiting for them, and that's how I discovered
just Julie,
them.
the immediate follow-up, I need to know this, are they now, is the response that this is all, quote, standard operating procedure? Is that what they're going with, or what are they going with?
They are going with that. And I'll tell you, I was shocked yesterday, and I know you guys saw this too. You had former federal prosecutors, you had FBI whistleblowers who we've all interviewed, and suddenly saying, this is no big deal. This is a nothing burger. One of them posted, this is included in every armed raid, instructions or a manual. This is following standard operating procedure. I was shocked to see that, because there's no way to justify. First of all, this has never happened before, as we all know. So it shouldn't be standard operating procedure. And also, you guys, they're calling him F. POTUS in this order. So it's not like a normal suspect, right? Suspect one, or, Mr. Drug Dealer or Mr. Embezzler. They were referring to him as the former president. So in no way is this a usual situation, a usual search warrant being executed. Nothing is usual about this. And it's really shameful to see people in any regard defending this. And even the FBI, as you know, had to come out last night and defend themselves and say, this is normal. This is how we handle these raids. This is part of our policy and has been for yada, yada. Just pretty shocking response to.
Yeah,
to
to
that.
your point, Julie, there is no precedent for this. Merrick Garland said he personally made these decisions, and I just want to hammer this home. I don't know if you've been to Mar-a-Lago before, Julie. I would bet that you have. Buck and I have been there several times. It's Secret Service protected. You get wanded when you go in. There are armed security that are already there charged with protecting the president from any threat. So the idea that there would be any deadly force necessary inside of a Secret Service protected venue is this is the part where I look at it and say, if Merrick Garland truly did, as he said, go ahead and sign off on all these details, how did no one come to him and say, hey, maybe we want to change up some of the language in this this warrant that we're putting out because this is an unprecedented situation and there should be a 0% chance of violence given this is already Secret Service protected?
Correct. And to your point, that's another unusual, rare circumstance is that the Attorney General came out and said he personally signed off on this search warrant. Well, the Attorney General of the United States does not sit there all day personally signing off on search warrants. Okay, so that's not normal at all. But yes, I think there was a little pushback. We got some interviews, transcripts. The head of the Washington field office at the time, he pushed back about the need for really even his office to be involved, but the potential use of force or having armed agents there. But to your point, what was going to happen with Secret Service, as you guys know, also Mar-a-Lago, private security there.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no need for them to come in guns blazing, also incognito. They did not have their standard law enforcement gear. They were instructed to wear regular street clothes so they couldn't be identified. Again, another unusual aspect of how these raids are typically conducted. So, I see a lot of lawmakers, though a few senators who are really outraged about this. And I suspect, you guys, that we're going to be learning more about the details of the planning ahead of time, how this was executed. We already know the FBI agents brought phony cover sheets to put on documents and take a picture and make it look like they found it that way. My suspicion is we are going to find out in some of these court proceedings and maybe other investigations just how dirty and really potentially dangerous this raid was.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with and this is why I asked you about it right away, the standard protocol line is there's nothing standard about a raid on a former president, right? So I know that's what they're going to say, and that is what they're saying, but the moment that you start to unpack that or peel away the layers, it makes absolutely no sense. I think it's also worth noting, and our friend Molly Hemingway pointed this out, that there were people within the FBI, and this has already been reported on, who were like, what are you doing? Why are we having a raid like this? This is insane. I mean, there were voices even within the FBI who have been reported on anonymously saying that this is unnecessary and could cause huge problems.
Exactly. And there were transcripts released by the House who had interviewed the Stephen D'Antuono and others who were sort of pushing back on how this went down. But eventually, Stephen D'Antuono was head of the Washington field office. They signed off on this. And so I do think, again, we're going to find out more information. Was there pre-planning? Where was the training? And now we know that the evidence that they collected is not in its original form. It has been spoiled in many aspects. So this was not even a successful raid. This was a bungled raid. And
what did they do, Julie? Because this has already come out. They've messed with the evidence they collected. I mean, you mentioned the cover sheets. Is there anything else?
Well, yes. Now, Jack Smith had to admit in a filing a few weeks ago that the boxes they took out, I think they took like 30 some odd boxes out of Mar-a-Lago, that the files, the evidence inside is not in the same sequence that it was when they took it from Mar-a-Lago. This is very important because they were supposed to demonstrate that there's classified files mixed in with, newspapers, et cetera. Well, they had to admit that it's not in the same sequence. Furthermore, and even more suspicious here, is they also had to admit to Judge Cannon that these placeholder sheets that they brought as props, which we talked about, attaching them to files, taking a picture, making it look like that's how they were that's how they were found. These placeholder sheets where they took out an alleged classified document, put a placeholder in. Jack Smith just had to admit they can't match up in every instance the placeholder sheet with the classified document that was taken out of the box. So this is a bungled investigation, a dangerous investigation, unprecedented, and things could have gotten a lot worse than they actually did. You actually sort of have to credit Donald Trump for not flying down there and, protecting his property and certainly the bedrooms of his wife and his son, which also were ransacked. And we had evidence of that yesterday as well.
We're talking to Julie Kelly. Eileen Cannon, the judge in South Florida, seems to be doing a really incredible job unveiling all of this. I know that you have been covering more than almost anyone all of these documents that are being filed, and as the story has grown and less has gotten classified. Where is this case going now? In your mind, where is Judge Cannon headed? What should we expect as it pertains to the classified documents case in particular?
Well, what I've written is that she has now turned the tables, and she is putting Jack Smith and the DOJ on trial. And today I'm here. There's 2 hearings today, a motion to dismiss for selective vindictive prosecution filed by Trump's longtime aide, personal aide, Waltine Nauta, who is a co-defendant. So there was a few-hour hearing on that this afternoon. There's another hearing for a motion to dismiss based on falsehoods contained in the 48-page indictment against Donald Trump and his 2 co-defendants. But I'll tell you guys, there is no love lost between Judge Cannon and the prosecution team. They got into it a couple times this morning. At one point, Judge Cannon had to tell David Harbach, one of Jack Smith's prosecutors, to calm down. He is disrespectful. He is condescending. At one point, she asked him a question, and he said to her, "That's not the right question."
Ooh. That ain't good to say to any woman, by the way, Julie, much less the judge who is in charge of your trial. That ain't the right question. Doesn't go well with Laura Travis, and she's not sitting at the top of the bench either.
There were gasps in the media room when he said that. He's trying to school. Now, she is extremely meticulous, extremely informed, extremely well prepared when she comes to these hearings. And he does his best to try to school her on things that she already knows because he's putting on a performance. He knows this case is imploding. So what he has to do is act indignant, when he's doing his rebuttal to this motion. And, you can just see the tension there between the judge and Jack Smith. But how this is going forward is she is entertaining. Not only is she unsealing and posting all of this information that the government, for the most part, doesn't want us to see, she is now holding all of these hearings where then it will be publicly vetted, including hearings next month, which I'll be covering, this bombshell motion that accuses the Biden White House, the general counsel of the White House, the National Archives, DOJ, and FBI of colluding together as basically right after Donald Trump left the Oval Office to concoct some sort of documents crime against Donald Trump. So she's really turning the tables, and that's why you could see this frustration from the prosecution side today, and I expect more fireworks this afternoon. But
real quick, Julie, before we got to go, do you think that is there any real legal jeopardy in your mind from the Florida case still for Donald Trump?
No.
Yeah, sounds like it. I mean, that's and Clay and I have been seeing it that way for a while. So if you're on that train too, I think it's a very, very high probability. Check out Declassified with Julie Kelly. Julie, let us know the next time you want to blow up the internet with findings, and we'll definitely have you back on.
I definitely will. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Julie Kelly, killing it. Trump reacting. We'll discuss that a bit when we come back. In the meantime, MyPillow doesn't need a 3-day holiday weekend to have a sale. They've got the month-long extravaganza sale happening right now, including some of the best deals of the year on the website. Many of their best-selling products, only $25. Giza Dream Sheets, slippers, sandals, My Towels, My Pillows, more, all $25. Travis household, MyPillow products all over the place. My wife, Laura, has bought a ton of these slippers, not only for herself, but for everyone. In fact, when we started doing these ads a couple weeks ago for the big May sale, she went and bought some more My Slippers. They've already arrived at the house, and she has broken them in. Mike Lindell, Patriot, what better way to support patriotism than by buying a MyPillow product with the $25 extravaganza sale? You can go online to MyPillow.com. Use our names, Clay and Buck, as the promo code. That's MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener special square. $25 deal. Free shipping on orders over $75. Use the promo code Clay and Buck to get hooked up.